Hey, what's up Guardians? In this video I'm going to show you how to become an absolute menace in the Crucible using a fusion rifle. Let's dive right in. First off, let's discuss the pros. The best part about using fusion rifles is the ability to snag easy kills with one shot from close to mid-range. The best rolls can consistently get kills over 20 meters. They are the perfect counter to those annoying shotgunners and great for getting multi-kills. You can even shut down some supers. The cons are being ineffective when enemies are out of range. Also, you have to charge up the fusion, so if anybody sneaks up on you, they can take you out before you get your shot off. Now let's talk about some gameplay and strategy. Then we'll talk about what particular fusions work best, along with the stats and perk breakdowns. First off is radar. Utilizing your radar is key to developing a good fusion playstyle. In most cases, when you encounter an opponent, you want to start with primary while there is some distance between you. But pay close attention to your radar and check it as much as possible. Use it to gauge the distance of your opponents and know when to switch to your fusion. Also, use your radar to gauge how many opponents are around you and position yourself to take on one enemy at a time. The next most important strategy is to know your opponent. This applies to 6v6s and especially in Trials of Osiris. You want to know what weapons your opponents are using and whether they are playing passive or aggressive. These factors will determine how you will be using your fusion rifle. First, let's talk about a scenario where you are facing aggressive opponents using shotguns, fusions, subs, or sidearms. In this case, a great strategy is to counter them with a passive playstyle. Let them push right into your trap. This is where you need to master the pre-charge. A pre-charge is when you start charging your fusion rifle before your enemy is in sight. Just before your fusion fires, you step out of cover and blast the enemy into another dimension. This is important because shotguns, subs, and sidearms all have a fast TTK. You will not have enough time to charge up your fusion if you wait until the enemy is in sight. This is where using your radar becomes critical. Stay hidden and use your radar. Also listen for footsteps and abilities to decide when it's the perfect time to start pre-charging. This will take time and practice to master, but it is one of the best counters for people that push you. Another helpful tip is when you are playing passive, you want to crouch as much as possible. Crouching limits how much you show up on the enemy's radar, making it difficult for them to know exactly where you are, and gives you the element of surprise. If they know where you are, they might be able to counter your pre-charge, but if they do not see you on radar, you will likely vaporize them before they have time to counter you. You can also defeat enemy fusion users by utilizing a pre-charge to get the upper hand. When picking a position to pre-charge, it helps to ambush opponents in a hallway or somewhere they do not have cover. You could also crouch and hide near a vantage point or objective. Now is a good time to talk about the optimal distance after you charge up and your fusion starts to shoot. This is going to be different for each fusion rifle, so you need some practice to figure out your own. The optimal range starts at a distance where your enemy is just outside of shotgun range and ends at the max range where your fusion will kill with one shot. There are some stats and perks that help optimize this threshold, and we will cover those in a bit. But for now, let's talk about how to deal with passive opponents using mid to long range weapons like snipers, pulse rifles, hand cannons, etc. For this scenario, we are going to counter them with a more aggressive playstyle. This does not mean go full ape and charge straight at them. But if the enemy is playing passive, then we need to be the ones who close the distance. In the meantime, I recommend using primary while they are out of fusion range. Try to find a lane or a flank that you can use to get closer to the enemies while staying in cover. Sometimes it takes a couple tries to close the distance if you are spotted. Once you get about halfway to fusion range, you reach a critical point. Most people that use mid to long range weapons also carry a close range weapon. Sometimes when you get closer to them, it will cause them to push you. If this happens, you should use the tactics we discussed earlier or retreat. It is important to pay close attention to your radar to make sure you do not get flanked or outnumbered, and crouch as much as possible to avoid detection. I personally like when they push me in this scenario because they are often out of their comfort zone and I get to set an ambush on them. If they decide to sit back and continue to play passive, there are two ways to go about it depending on the map and objective. If you are playing on a large open map, it is not a good idea to push them because they will be waiting for you aiming down sights. When this happens, I like to challenge them with primary or go set up an ambush near the objective. For example, if you are playing Trials of Osiris, you can go crouch near the point and wait for them to come to you. In another scenario, if you can flank them or have cover, you can continue to close the gap until you reach fusion range, and now you can wreak havoc because their long-range weapons are no match for your fusion. You do need to be cautious because some people will pull out a close range weapon last second, so always stay out of shotgun range. Now let's cover some tips that can be applied to all scenarios. The first one is to utilize slides. I am constantly spamming slides because it provides several great advantages. Sliding increases your movement speed and makes you a tougher target to hit, and even tougher when you zigzag. Sliding also helps you close the distance between you and your enemy. Also, when you slide, it is considered crouching, so that helps you stay off radar while still moving quickly. A deadly attack you can perform is start your pre-charge behind cover and come out sliding. This allows you to use the pre-charge offensively and can get you a kill even when the enemy is expecting you. Another tip is to aim down sights last second. This will let you see your radar and have a larger field of view to detect potential threats while your fusion is still charging up. Aiming your fusion early does not provide any benefits. Another tip is to predict your enemy's movements. If you predict where they are going to be, you can be waiting for them with a perfectly timed pre-charge. The next tip is to aim low. Nearly all fusion rifles have a vertical recoil pattern, so the bolts naturally drift upwards, so it helps to aim for the opponent's thighs and waist. This results in most of your bolts connecting with your opponent's body. I briefly mentioned this earlier, but it is key to make sure and engage with one enemy at a time. If there are multiple opponents, it is best to retreat and try again from another angle. With more than one person team-shotting you, you will likely get cooked. Playing corners is a great strategy to stay in cover and prepare for a pre-charge. However, you do not want to stand too close to the corner because that makes you an easy target for an aggressive shotgunner. Now let's discuss some of the best fusion rifles for PvP as well as my personal favorites. First off, there are different types of fusions for different scenarios. The rapid fire frames have the fastest charge time but come with the lowest impact and range. In the right hands, they can be extremely deadly with that minimal charge time. The most notable rapid fire frames include Cartesian Coordinate, Likely Suspect, Null Composure, Zealot's Reward, and Riptide. The next class of fusions are adaptive frames. These are pretty well balanced with medium charge time, medium impact, and medium range. Some really good adaptive frames include Burden of Guilt and Royal Executioner. Now we have the high impact frames. These fusions have the most range and the most impact, but they also have the longest charge time. You can get some long range kills with this frame. However, with the slower charge time, you really need to pre-charge them, especially when the enemy is close. There are many great high impact frames, including Glaciochasm, Iota Draconis, Midas Reckoning, Avrandil, Exile's Curse, Erentil, and the Wizened Rebuke. Last but not least, my favorite type of fusion rifles are precision frames. This frame has a slightly less impact and range than the higher impact frames, but also has a faster charge time. For me, this is the perfect balance of range and charge time. Some of the best precision frames include Deliverance, Plug 1, Main Ingredient, the Epicurean, and Snorri. Now that we talked about the different types of fusion rifles, let's talk about what stats you want for your god rolls. Obviously, charge time is important, but the other thing we want to optimize is our range. To do so, you want to max out your range and stability stats. Range is obvious, but stability can also make a big difference. The higher your stability stat is, the tighter your bolt spread will be. When you have a tighter bolt spread, it makes it easier to land more bolts at longer ranges, which can help secure the kill. Stability also reduces flinch, which can help you stay on target while taking fire. So prioritize range followed closely by stability. To complete your god roll, you need some perks, and there is a plethora of powerful perks. Starting with Under Pressure, which improves stability and accuracy as the magazine gets lower. In Crucible, you start with 2 rounds each life, so Under Pressure is almost always procced, making it one of the best perks for PvP. Next up, we have Successful Warm-Up. This is one of my favorite perks because it feeds you multi-kills. Successful Warm-Up drastically decreases charge time after each final blow. So often, after the first kill, another enemy is approaching or right around the corner. They are usually not expecting reduced charge time, so it makes for an easy kill even without a pre-charge. If you master the pre-charge while the perk is active, you will be nearly unstoppable. Another great perk is Perpetual Motion, which grants bonus stability, handling, and reload speed while the wielder is in motion. You are constantly moving in PvP, so this perk is almost always active, giving you free bonus stability. This perk can also stack up to 2 times. Kickstart is a powerful perk, especially in a 1v1 situation or the first kill of a trials round. This perk gives you bonus damage and decreased charge rate during a slide after sprinting for a short duration. This can make for some easy, close, and long-range kills. Backup Plan is also an incredible perk, and it is almost like a get-out-of-jail-free card. Backup Plan grants reduced charge time and increased handling speed for a short duration after swapping to this weapon. So if you have it stowed and somebody sneaks up on you, you can whip it out and blast your enemy with that reduced charge time. You can also use it offensively and catch people off guard. Slide Shot is an incredible perk that grants a boost to range and stability while sliding, and it also partially reloads the weapon's magazine. I have a Glacioclasm with Slide Shot, and it is one of my favorite fusions all time. Also, if you are out of ammo, you can slide over a special ammo brick and it will auto-load your weapon. High Impact Reserves has rounds at the end of the magazine that deal more damage, and as we mentioned earlier, each life you start at the end of the magazine, so this perk is almost always procced, making it one of the best perks. Firmly Planted grants increased accuracy, stability, and handling when firing while crouched. And finally, we have Elemental Capacitor, which has multiple functions depending on your subclass. It is best used with a Void subclass, which increases stability, or Stasis, which moderately controls recoil and increases movement speed when aiming down sights. The best barrel perks are Hammerforged, Small Bore, Polygonal, Corkscrew, and Arrowhead Break. The best batteries include Projection Fuse, Particle Repeater, and Accelerated Coils. And for your masterwork, you are going to want range or stability. If there are any other perks that I forgot to mention, drop them down in the comments section below. Now I will go over a couple of my clips with some commentary and talk you guys through some gameplay. In this round, I pushed the zone early to control the objective. I started with primary while they were still out of fusion range. I managed to get one kill with primary and left another wounded. Now I am anticipating one of the enemies to try and get the revive, so I'm waiting patiently crouched with my fusion. Once I got a visual, I came out with a pre-charge and secured the kill. Now I have successful warm-up procced, so I used a sliding pre-charge to catch the last guy off guard. Here again, I start with primary and hurt one of them. Meanwhile, I noticed on radar that someone was trying to flank me. I sent one more arrow before addressing the flank. I assumed the flank would be rushing me because I was preoccupied, so I hit him with a sliding pre-charge to catch him off guard. It worked perfectly, and now I have successful warm-up procced, and I got a revive. I have extra confidence with a successful warm-up, so I push the remaining enemies. I get the first one, which extended my successful warm-up, and dodged to reload my fusion, and then eliminated the last guy with ease. Now I'm challenging zone with primary. Because there is two of them, I decide to flank. I make my way around but see someone is waiting for me on radar. I hit them with a Lamonk shot, so I knew they had to flee to recover. This gave me an opportunity to push. I caught him still performing his rift animation, which made for an easy kill. Now I have successful warm-up, so I continue to push using a slide. The last guy is an easy kill, 3v1, plus I still have successful warm-up. This time around, I'm keeping an eye on the far lane because I don't have cover for it. I noticed a guy on my left that was distracted, so I decided to push. Another enemy was waiting for me, so I'm forced to retreat. I then threw a well-placed cold snap grenade. When I saw that it hit, I went for the push, and to my surprise, killed all three with one fusion shot, along with the shatter effect. In this round, I pushed zone right off the bat. I get hit by a firebolt, causing me to retreat. I thought they would push me, so I threw a cold snap grenade. Cold snap didn't get a hit, so I knew they stayed back, which means I could push up. I used a pre-charge slide to take out the first guy. Now, with successful warm-up, I slide up to take out the next guy. I'm left without fusion rifle ammo, so I switch to primary. I get the headshot right away, which gave me the confidence to come right back with another shot. And this wraps up the video. Let me know if you guys like this type of content. My name is Crooked Fives. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to get an Adept version of one of the best PvP fusion rifles in the game, check out this video. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.